Good morning, everybody. Today's video, I'm going to show you how to use the grip reflex. So the third pillar of shoulder health in the AMT system, how to use the grip reflex when trying to retrain a shoulder on how to sit in the socket. Now, stabilizers they prefer compression and traction to be stimulated. So to train the rotator cuff in internal action rotation, those are great exercises to isolate specific muscle weakness, if that's the case. But they work more on a reflex level, and it works through the grip. So the first two pillars, we talk about breath and we talk about posture. The third is the grip. So we talk about reflexes when we're trying to reintegrate the shoulder. Now this could be for your clients who, they're lifting the side, they're doing this weird shoulder height thing, they're getting impingement, they're winding up the elbow because they're overusing the grips. So anything in the upper extremity, these exercises can work great for. We're gonna combo them using both traction and compression with the grip reflex and trying to center that joint using joint centration exercises. So we're gonna first start with some kind of hanging. Now the way that we use hanging, when we grip onto something and we hang, the shoulder should automatically pull in the socket if we're using the grip. If I use this sloppy, lazy grip, my shoulder just pops out of the socket. But if I really crush the ring, you can see that shoulder wants to sit in the socket nicely. So getting people to hang on an apparatus, a suspension train, you can even do this in the doorway, right? Even though it doesn't rotate, you can still get people's grip involved when they're just gripping on and just hanging. So I'm going to show you very simply. You're going to take a nice solid grip, glutes are on, core is on, and I'm going to pack that shoulder. So what this does is it pulls the shoulder down and back. I'll show you with the right arm. Down and back into my back pocket here. If I can turn my head and do a neck check, that means I'm in a good position. If I pull and I'm up here, my chin will bang into my shoulder. That's not a good position. That's going to cause impingement. So now the person can feel, all right, hold a piece of paper there, and then you can do some rotations here. So the stimulation is traction, but I'm using that grip reflex to keep the shoulder in the socket. Now doing rotation, this is where you're going to get a better sense of where the joint is in space. Now I can change my body position where I'm pulling from the side. So people who are having an issue reaching to the side, they can't feel how that shoulder's supposed to sit in the socket, so they're just elevating. So if I'm hanging from the side here, I use that grip, I keep that elbow straight, make sure people aren't bending in the elbow, just trying to jack those up. And I'm gonna do some rotations here. Ever being mindful of how you're breathing, where's my tension, where am I stabilizing, because those are other pillars that we look at, especially with the core. And for some individuals who have good shoulder extension, who just can't reach back here, I'm gonna rotate my body around, and I'm gonna play with some rotations here. Making sure that you're nice and square. Okay? I don't want my butt sticking out because now I'm going to twist in my back. So making sure the glutes are on, ribs are down, neck is relaxed. So really nice combination. You can get the person to rotate their shoulder in the socket and also rotate their body around the shoulder. We're going to go to the floor next. Okay, now that we've used some traction to teach the shoulder and the rotator cuff to keep that shoulder in the socket, we're going to play with some compression. And I find that the best tool to use is a kettlebell because it's an off-centered weight. It really forces the grip to dial in and helps maintain that compression or that joint centration, especially with the shoulder. So when I'm picking up the kettlebell, I'm going to load in, I'm going to roll with it, and I'm going to press it with both hands because you can do this with a heavier weight. Again, we're going to use the grip, especially the latter two fingers, the fourth and fifth finger, because most of the grip comes from that medial hand, and it's going to sit in this hypothenar space here. I'm going to crush that weight. My wrist is nice and neutral. I'm not letting it bend. I'm just going to do some rotations. Now be very cautious and spot your clients when you're doing this, because if they're not used to it, you're going to see a lot of jerky movements because it's just not a smooth, controlled movement. They haven't done this before. So monitoring, making sure that they're paying attention to the kettlebell and you are as well, and they're rotating nice and slow through the full available range of motion. Now to get to the side, I'm going to do a roll, but I'm going to initiate with my hip, still keeping an eye on my kettlebell. And I'm going to prop myself up in this position. Now I keep my leg here so I don't keep rolling forward, but I need to pay attention to the kettlebell as it's in this position, because most people have not loaded in this way before. So again, I'm just going to play with some rotations here. Work on some breathing, making sure my nervous system's okay with this. And then if you're feeling comfortable trying this, or you're comfortable with your clients, you can get them to go into a straight arm bar. Here, they must pay attention to their kettlebell as they're rotating. And you can do some hip prying to try and pry that shoulder open a little bit more. Very compromising position. I don't do this with a lot of clients. I primarily will get them here and watch them. This is usually enough. And then you can get them into a crooked arm bar to open up the shoulder a little and thorax a little bit more. And if they've got a tight neck, you can prop something up underneath the head here to take the tension off that. And I'm gonna slowly roll back. Now we can sharpen this a little bit more. If people aren't feeling exactly what they're supposed to be feeling, you can do this in a bottom up position. It's a lot harder, you're gonna need to use a lot less weight, but the principles are the same. They have to really focus on that grip, crush that weight, really slow it down. And the nice thing with the bottom up position, if they get tired or they get lazy with their grip, or they have poor alignment, kettlebell falls over. So it's a self-limiting exercise. Give those a shot. The next AMT is coming up in January. We're also in Ottawa in March, and then we're in BC in April. And then the level 2 starts up in May. Hope to see everybody out there. Shoot me some questions if you have any. Have a good day.